Hello everyone, it's Types, and today we're taking a look at some more custom cards. I was going to make a tier list video, and then I've been having like these weird internet problems, so we're not doing that tier list. For some reason, tier maker isn't working for me. So anyways, we are going to be looking at some custom cards, and these are really interesting. I haven't taken a look at them too closely, but I know that there are a lot of like combo cards or cards that are part of like set archetypes, I guess is how I would describe it. We'll see. The first one, obviously, this is a future card, as we can see, and definitely I'm excited to take a look. We'll see about the most important things, obviously, going to be the concept of the card. Balancing is something that matters some. Certainly, when you actually play with these cards, that will in fact, matter. But concepts are the main thing, and honestly, if cards are like overtuned, whatever, Pokemon overtunes cards all the time anyway. So, though, probably, hopefully, we don't see like a 1,000 HP basic. That'd be kind of funny, but maybe it's cool. Anyways, we got Magnet as an item here, which is a future card, and it says choose one of the two things here, and you can either one attach a basic Okay, and then let me read. Attach a basic energy card from your hand to one of your future Pokemon. Okay, and then put a basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. This is pretty interesting, as this has value in two different ways. Right, you can get value here from, first of all, being able to quite simply just recover in energy. It's not that good, right? It's kind of like Night Stretcher's, and it's the same as Night Stretcher's energy recovery, though. Or it also can be a very solid energy acceleration card. Ultimately, I feel like the choosing two, obviously, it's like, oh, it has synergy with itself. You can play two of them and just get the energy. I don't know exactly how, like, you don't really want to be doing that, but it is a nice little thing to have. And it's not like this card's super complicated or has tons of text. And it does have this additional option. This is cool. It's kind of like a toned down version of Reboot Pod. Reboot Pod is the A spec. Well, actually, it's probably better than Reboot Pod if you just like play for this. Reboot Pod isn't a very good A spec because it has like this soft synergy with the future cards. It accelerates a bunch of energy, but all to different Pokemon, which, you want them on one Pokemon. You can use Iron Leaves EX, and there was some like combo potential there, but ultimately this card is simpler there. Then we do have Futuristic Expansion, which is another future card, and it says each player who has any future Pokemon in play can have up to 6 Pokemon on their bench. Okay, and if a player no longer has any future Pokemon in play, that player discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 4. When this leaves play, both players discard Pokemon from their bench until they have 5, and the player who played this card discards first. I assume if your opponent never has any future Pokemon in play, or if you don't, I guess it's just limiting to 4. This is interesting. Obviously, it has some overlap, some pretty decent overlap with Clap Stadium in most decks and in most games. This functions exactly like Clap Stadium, and Clap Stadium does have really solid upside. It's played for its upside a lot. So ultimately, I know it's very overlapping, but this is really cool as well. Ultimately, I might limit it to 3. Limiting your bench to 4 isn't that big of an issue unless you are a deck that wants a specifically big bench. This is really cool, though. A stadium that, like, it rewards you for beating its requirements, but also punishes you for not doing it. Right now, a lot of stadiums are like Area Zero Under Depths. Obviously, this is pretty similar to that as well. Though smaller, but also future Pokemon aren't Terra Pokemon, so some adding value there. And also there is value in having lots of future Pokemon. That's something that future Pokemon like. It's not something that they need, but it is something that they like. And now, like Area Zero Under Depths, if you're just a normal deck, your opponent plays it, it's like whatever, right? You don't care. But I would actually limit it to 3. Maybe it's too good if you limit it to 3. This is like a bit of an annoying card, but I feel like it's not that annoying. And potentially you will be helping out your opponent when they discard a Pokemon from play that they don't want, like Lumineon V, Rotom V, Squawkabilly EX, or there are some other Pokemon like that as well. When we have Iron Jugulis EX, this is a Carless EX with 250 HP, pretty high HP here. And then we see the ability Energy Consumption. If this Pokemon has a future booster energy capsule attached, you may discard any amount of basic energy cards, energy, I guess, from your hand. I assume they are cards. And then reach energy discarded, draw a card. And that's that's interesting. There's a card that's I think it's the Iron Treads EX, the future one, of course. And it says if you you discard like all future booster energy capsules, which is kind of like why that you have multiple. So that's what this made me think of. But yeah, no, this is cool. And then you have the attack three-headed blast for four colors. You do 100. The stack does 100 damage to your opponent's bench Pokemon. This attack feels a little weak. Ultimately, you obviously want the tool on, but that's not helping you too much. It's just allowing you to do a little bit more damage to your opponent's active, which is like meaningful, but man, it might not be that meaningful, right? This is a really cool ability, though. Ultimately, I would reduce the energy cost. Well, actually, no, this attack is pretty good. Um, how good is it exactly? Like, I'm kind of comparing it to Rainy Ninja. No, this is a pretty solid attack. I don't know why I thought it wasn't good. You know, it's pretty good. Um, like, there's the Hydreigon EX, which this is similar to. That does 130 to 3. The active and 2 bench, just like this. It is it's almost impossible to pay. It's also kind of bad. It's not, like, super terrible. No, yeah, this stack's pretty strong. And the ability is also pretty cool. And it allows for a really explosive draw, but at the cost of like a bunch of energy. It also does have synergy here. No, here with the magnet item as well. So the magnet item allows you to draw an extra card, so that gives more value there. Then we see Iron Moth EX. How many do we have? We have a few cards. Okay, here we go. So we have Iron Moth EX, a Fire EX future Pokemon as well. When this Pokemon is in play, all basic energy attached to your future Pokemon, except any Iron Moth EX provide 1 energy of any type. That's really interesting because right now the future archetype really struggles with all the different like types. You just don't play like future isn't really a deck. I mean, what's the defining future Pokemon for future box? That would be Miraidon. Obviously Iron Hands EX is like really good. That's in lots of different things. Miraidon. Within the future decks, we see Future Thorns. We see just a few different Pokemon here and really just one attacker. Yeah, it's only well, no, 2 attackers, Miraidon and Iron Thorns EX, and then you also have in Future Hands, we see 1 Psychic Energy and 14 Lightning Energy. I mean, it's like an Iron Hands EX deck. That's what it is. We see this Future Box deck. We do see 3 types of Basic Energy. We see some Grass Energy, some Psychic Energy, some Lightning Energies, but ultimately it's mostly Iron Leaves EX with an Iron Hands EX thrown in there, and you do have the capacity to attack with Iron Crown EX and attack with Sparking Strike with Miraidon as well. You do have some different options, but it's mostly an Iron Thorns or an Iron Leaves EX deck. This deck, again, very similar ideas. Some differences, though. No, you have more lightning stuff going on here. A bit more boxy. Going down to this next list, we see an Iron Boulder, and we see some no water energies. That wouldn't make a ton of sense, but you could play that. And we do see Iron Boulder. We see some slightly different things, but and in this other future box deck, we do see some fighting. We even see a metal energy, so we see a bunch of different types of basic energies, but that's really awkward. That's very awkward. So this solves those issues. Also, there's some like really cool future Pokemon that no one plays because they're just these weird types, and now we can pay it. We also have Toxic Flames for Fire Colorless, which has 220. You may discard 2 non-basic fire energy attached to this Pokemon if you do your points active is now poisoned, burned and poisoned. That's really interesting. That seems really hard. Wait. Oh, so is it saying that the energy isn't like it's like a grass energy, I think is what it's saying. At first I was thinking it was like special energy. I don't think it's referring to special energy, which would be really hard to do. In fact, in standard, I think that's impossible because the only special energy that provide specific types or that provide types that aren't colorless would be you have Near Warp energy, which doesn't do anything here. You have Legacy energy and you have Luminous energy, but you can have 1 Legacy and then any Luminous aren't going to do anything. So yeah, this is an interesting attack that synergizes with the ability. Ultimately, I feel like base value, it's pretty strong. Like, keep in mind, you're probably going to be playing Iron, like, just, you're going to be boosting this damage output, right? This is pretty solid, and it's not super hard to get the energies on. And then I'd reduce the attack cost, and then maybe increase the, like, benefit from discarding the energies is kind of what I'd do. I'm not sure. It's a pretty cool card, though. Wait, no, except Iron Moth. So the ability doesn't apply to yourself. So wait, what is this attack? No, I think it is not basic fire energy. So, oh wait, no, it's other types. Never mind. I'm tired. I'm really tired when recording this. I've had a lot of audio issues I recorded. So anyway, so Yeah, hopefully my audio sounds like okay. Hopefully it sounds good, right? But hopefully it sounds at least okay. And yeah, so it's not fire energies. So you have other types of energies. For some reason, I thought the attack cost was 2 fire. It's 2 colorless. And then you do need a fire as well. So you discard the other energies. Ultimately, I feel like that would like make sense most of the time. Like you're discarding not the fire, so I feel like it doesn't need to specify basic, not basic fire. But anyway, it is a really cool um, Pokemon here. I would ultimately make the ability also apply to itself. I feel like that's not that big of an issue, though. Certainly, if Pokemon printed a card like this, I would imagine they might write the same thing. We see Professor Turo's scheme here, and it's a supporter saying choose up to 2 of your future Pokemon and attach a basic energy. I believe you should say in play. I don't remember, but I think so. It doesn't obviously really matter much, but yeah, I'm reviewing these cards and trying to think of I don't know, simple improvement things. Is it in play? Like, e oh no, never mind. I'm wrong. I don't know why I thought it would be in play. Like here, it doesn't say in play. Anyways, so then it says attach a basic energy card from just compile to each of them, each of your future Pokemon you choose, and then if you attach any energy in this way, shuffle a random card without a rule box. Um, from just compile into your deck. This is kind of complicated. Ultimately, rule box is only used for Pokemon. And then this would like presumably not shuffle back ace specs. How do you do this randomly? Um, I guess that would involve shuffling your discard pile, but presumably you should know what the card is as well, and so should your opponent. This ends up being a little complicated. It's pretty. It's like okay, certainly. It's really interesting because it's like the opposite of Professor Sada's vitality. Now that you're going to be accelerating the energies in essentially the same exact way, except now you're also like doing this other effect. It's not a draw effect, but it's a really interesting effect here. This is a really cool supporter. Then we do have ourselves Iron Bundle EX, which is the last of these future Pokemon here, with Futuristic Pouch, which has the ability when you place Pokemon to your hand onto your bench, you may have a future Pokemon, and you have a future Pokemon in play, which does not count this, I'm assuming. You may draw until you have 6 cards in hand. Okay, wait, what? That is a really strong ability. It does have 190 HP here, which is kind of low. And then you have Rocket Return 80 for 2 colors. Return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. This is obviously a lot like Shaman EX, and Shaman EX is a pretty interesting little Pokemon here. And next to it, we actually see this little word called banned. Yeah, this card got banned because it's kind of broken. It does have much lower HP, but HP was lower in general in this era, so it's somewhat comparable. Admittedly, like there's some different things. This card really needs to go within a future deck. I believe, as I said, it is a future Pokemon in play that's not this. And then, I feel like the attack's similar as well, but this one, it's obviously based on it, right? It's very similar. I'd lower the HP to like 160 and reduce the attack damage as well. Like I'd reduce the attack damage to 30, just like Shaman EX's, because you can buff this. You can buff this you can buff it 100. You could be one-shotting your opponent's Lumineon V and returning this broken draw Pokemon to your hand. This ability is obviously strong. I think the ability is fair. We need to nerf the other Pokemon stats a lot. I do like cards. I do think Shaman EX is a cool card. I know some people think, I mean, it's like not the best game design because it's a little too explosive draw, but ultimately explosive draw is more so an expanded thing, and I felt like the card kind of fit and expanded, but whatever, that doesn't really matter, and that's not the discussion we're having today. I do think this Iron Bundle EX is cool, though I would nerf the HP. It's not high, but I wouldn't make it at the lowest end, at the 160 mark. I wouldn't like put it below that, but I'd put it there. And I'd also reduce the attack. Ultimately, could make this very Genesect V-like, where you draw one for each future Pokemon you have in play. There are things like that you could do as well, but I think that it's like fair, but very strong, which is okay. Strong cards are cool. I do like it. I don't think it's like completely like it'd be super good in the way it is now, but I don't think it would like completely upend the game or anything like that. But it would be a very good card. And is the best of the cards we've seen so far. The other ones are pretty solid, but this future archetype slash like these additions, these are really cool. Future is something that is a fun little thing in the Pokemon DHD right now, but ultimately a little disappointing, I feel like. Then we have Centiskorch here and some burn cards, I think. and it does Fire Blast 110 for 3, discard, and then Burning Skitter 10 and discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If the defending Pokemon is burned, discard 3 more cards in this way. This is pretty interesting, but let's take a look at some of the other cards, and then we'll talk about this one and come back to it. We got Searing Trap here on Centiskorch EX with 290 HP as well. The Centiskorch had 140. Then we have once in your turn, you may burn your opponent's active Pokemon, and it cannot be removed during Pokemon checkup. Okay, that's a solid ability. It's some nice extra damage, but nothing super broken. It is like substantially better than Paldean Clodseire's ability, essentially. Although that is specifically like Poison, which Poison has a lot of things to interact with it. Poison's not like... It's clearly the best special condition in terms of actual practicality. Paralysis is really good, but you can't really inflict it. And so Poison is very good, and it has a lot of support. So Paldean Cloudzair being Poison is nice, but it's not really played at all. But that poisons if there's a stadium in play. This burns, which is now just double poison, but it is still it's a pretty fairly balanced ability. I would probably increase the retreat cost, maybe. What's Centiskorch's retreat cost? It is normally, yeah, it's normally like 2 or 3. That's what I was thinking. And I think of it as like 3 normally. So I would increase the retreat cost. It has a high HP at 290. Oh, this has 290 HP. No Pokemon has 290 HP either. I feel like this doesn't need to have 290. It's not like that weird, but it's a little weird. And then of course, like I don't know. Let's take a look at the attack. Fire Lash, Fire Colorless does 120. And next turn does 60 more, so I'll do 80. Or an 80. That's a pretty like solid, though not like super insane attack. It's actually kind of bad, but then on top of the attack, you do have the burn, so that will add up. The ability is pretty solid here. I would definitely increase the retreat cost to at least 2. Getting stuck in the active feels kind of bad, but I feel like thematically you would want to do that. We do have Sizzle, and same thing on this one as well. Then Sizzlipede, we have Heat Up. Once during a turn, you may search your deck for a basic fire Pokemon and attach it to this Pokemon. Centiskorch or Centiskorch EX isn't your active. I think it's saying once during a turn you may search your deck. I think there's a word missing, which is if. Once during a turn you may search your deck for a fire energy card and attach it to this Pokemon if a Centiskorch EX or Centiskorch EX is in your active spot. I believe that's what it's saying. In which case, yeah, that seems pretty fair, pretty solid, right? But these Pokemon aren't super insanely powerful in terms of other Centiskorches. Nothing super crazy there. This attacks... Oh, wait, no, I guess it's meant to like combo with this Centiskorch, which does 180 if your opponent's active is a burn. So that's pretty interesting there. Centiskorch is like a kind of cool Pokemon. Of course, we did have the funny little mill Centiskorch as well, which could mill... there's a deck we can mill like a lot. I think the deck milled... It's not this deck, but there was a deck that allowed you to mill like... I think you milled 32 cards or something like that. It was pretty absurd, but ultimately pretty bad as well. Someone played Blacephalon, Centiskorch. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, we got these. Then we have Larvesta and then Volcarona, and yeah. So Larvesta, once during your turn, when this Pokemon enters play, so I guess this doesn't need to be from hand. That's kind of what they're saying. You may burn your opponent's active. That's pretty fair, pretty solid. And then Flame Charge for fire. For one fire, you do 30. You may search your deck for up to 3 basic fire energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like, then shuffle your deck. That's a very solid attack. It's not insane. I mean, it's like substantially above where most Pokemon's attacks are, but ultimately all those attacks are really bad. So this is an attack that could see play. And then we see Volcarona EX here with 260 HP. Radiant Shield, while this Pokemon is in the active, prevent all damage and effects of attacks and abilities from your opponent's Pokemon done to your bench Pokemon. Okay, this is a bit maybe Dusknoir countery, but also, I mean, counters a lot of things. It's a really solid ability. And Heat Wave for Fire Colorless, you do 240 and we discard 2 basic energy attached to this Pokemon. If you do deal 30 damage to all your opponent's bench Pokemon, that is, that's a solid attack. Nothing super crazy here. And then, of course, this is synergizing with the burn stuff as well. So we see this burn package here with the Centiskorch line as well as the Volcarona EX line. So pretty cool here. And I do think burn. I think the special conditions. I really do like the Centiskorch EX. It stops. If you flip tails, it's like whatever. Just keep it on. The burn condition, because I'm not a big fan of coin flips, and also I don't know if it adds more personality to burn, but like a burn archetype is something that we haven't really seen. I feel like the special conditions are pretty lackluster in the Pokemon TCG. Poison gets some cool things, though it's not always getting cool things, and the rest are like kind of boring, except for Paralysis gets a few moments to shine from time to time. And there is like there are some meaningful interactions with the other ones, but not that many. So Burn definitely in need of some support. And we have this Applin line with a Hydrapple EX and a bunch of different things. Oh, there's no Diplin, I don't think. Whatever. There's obviously Diplins in standard. You have Applin, though, and prevent all damage from being placed on your Pokemon by effects or attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon. Oh, wow, that's a very solid ability here. It's, it's like Jirachi, but better because it stops Dragon Pulse EX as well. We have Tumbling Apples. For one colorless 10, search for your other Applins, put it onto your bench. Fun little attack here. We got Appleton here, and this has the ability Gluttony as often as you like during your turn. If this Pokemon is on your bench, you play an item from your hand, you may search your deck for a basic grass energy and put it into your hand and shelf your deck. Wow, that's pretty strong. And then you can also do 80 for 2, and then the defending Pokemon takes 40 more damage during your next turn. So that's an interesting little attack here, a bit unique and mechanic-wise, but this is a really strong ability. And we'll take a look at the whole line. I'm going to Crash Apple for one colorless, 50, choose two of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and place 2 damage counters on each of them. This attack feels pretty fair. It feels pretty, like, solid in terms of, like, above average, but not necessarily super meta powerful. In terms of just like it's not doing a ton of damage or damage counters. Then we have Apple Family for grass colorless. Choose one of your bench Pokemon and evolve from Applin and use one of their attacks as this attack. Wow, that's pretty interesting. But we'll take a look. Obviously, this Applin isn't anything special. In standard, all we have is Hydrapple EX. Although I do know that this is supposed to work with Hydrapple EX, but it might just be this one. Of course, there is the one that does 30 for each grass Pokemon or grass energy and play 30 plus 30, and it can accelerate grass energies and heal. And we have Sweet Scent here, basic grass energy, attach this Pokemon, provide every type of energy, but only one type of energy at a time. And this is a Dragon Stellar Pokemon. Dragon Stellar Terra Pokemon. We have Fickle Beam for grass, fire, lightning. And this is going to be doing 150. You discard all energy from this Pokemon. If you do, the stack does 50 more damage. Okay, that is pretty fair. It feels okay. It's pretty solid. You pair this with the other Hydrapple EX, and you have the Appleton, which gets a bunch of basic energies. Although, and then you can also Apple Family, and then I guess you can Apple Family copy Hydrapple EX, but there are some items here we need to take a look at. Choose one of your Applin and play with Tart Apple. Search your deck for and I assume that whoever made this, I think this was Fresbersky, it could be wrong, forgot to change this. But search for a Flapple and put it onto Applin to evolve it. And then shuffle your deck, and you can use this. I got Appleton and Applin confused for a second. But then shuffle your deck. You can use this card on an Applin that was put into play this turn, but not on your first turn. So it can be, turn 3, you don't have any Applins in play, just toss down, use this. And then we see the same thing for Appleton. Oh yeah, just copied here with Sweet Apple, same thing. Then we got Syrup Apple, and you can get a Diplin. There is no Diplin here. Next card is that card. Oh, that loaded. There we go. And so yeah, you can use this to accelerate, and you don't need to play Rare Candy. This is a lot of Pokemon. Ultimately, we can only get 4 Applin and 4 Applin evolutions in play. So, is that going to be enough? I don't know. But this ability is really good. I guess it stacks, but ultimately you're really not looking for it to stack. I think this Appleton, it does have a 3 retreat, which isn't great, which is fair as well. That's probably what it should have. But then this is really good with Tealmass Ogerpon EX, but is it broken? I don't know. It's solid. This is a really fun card. I really like this Appleton here, and I do like the evolution line as a whole as well. But yeah, these cards are really cool. And then we have Steven's collection here. These are just some supporters. They're not too, I don't know how connected they are. I think they're connected to fossils. But then switch your deck for, or your disco pile for up to 4 in any combination of different, I don't know if you just search your deck or just search your disco pile, if you search both. I'm not exactly sure. It seems like you choose one, and then you search that one. For up to 4 in any combination of different training cards that have fossil in its name, or stage 1 and stage 2 evolution cards that evolved from a fossil. think there's some like weird grammar stuff, but whatever. Reveal them and put them into your hand. If you search your deck, shuffle your deck afterwards. Okay, yeah. So I think you choose your deck or choose your discard pile, which obviously getting 4 out of your discard pile is really good. Still, being able to search both is really, really good. But I feel like being able to search just one is still very solid and very strong. Getting fossil stuff, and we will take a look at some fossil cards. But fossil cards in standard are kind of bad. I mean, Archeops is like good, but it doesn't really count, does it? Right? It's like a fossil, but it's not, right? It's not a fossil Pokemon in terms of actual gameplay. No one plays the fossil, so this is cool. And let's take a look at these trainers. Oh, these do not have fossil in their name. Oh, I guess it's just like the actual fossil cards. Yeah. But we have Explorer's Kit here. Search your deck for or discard for a trainer that has fossil in its name or the evolutions, and reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your deck shelf, okay, so this is just like a one-of version of Steven's collection, which is getting 4 of them. Ultimately, getting 4. Normally, items are supposed to be, or supporters are twice as good as items. This supporter is theoretically 4 times as good, but you don't really need 4 fossils. So this is one thing I think some people don't always understand, which is a little complicated to explain. But if you have a card like Silene, yeah, let's take Silene for example. And is that a good example? It's an okay example. I'm trying to think of cards like it. There's Tyra Ball, but that's not standard. So we'll take Silene. Silene says you flip 2 coins. For each heads, recover any card from your discard pile, put it on top of your deck. Now, it will just say that we won't say the top of your deck. We'll say it shuffles in. It does put it on top, which kind of adds even more to this, but it complicates things a little. So we won't say that. We'll just say it shuffles it in, which is fine. And so, or just it like recovers it. That's the thing we're focused on. So you want a card back. Like you play Silene because you really want 1 card back, or maybe you really want 2 cards back. Generally, there's a card you want back the most, then the card you want back second to that. So that means that on average, well, you are on average getting 1 card back, right? You get 2 a quarter of the time, 1 half the time, and none a quarter of the time. Getting 1, the first one is more valuable than getting the second card back. So, getting Steven's collection, getting the first card is the most important. That getting the second one is the second most. Ultimately, this isn't exactly true. Sometimes you really need them in combination, and you probably do want them. Here, you don't necessarily need them in combination, though, but it does allow you to, do some. This isn't necessarily 4 times as good as the item, is what I'm saying. It's probably not. It's probably like twice as good, to be honest, which is the mounting that you're looking for. And this is a very solid item, but kind of acts as like an extra fossil, which you can definitely run out of fossil if you're doing some weird stuff, because they can just be discarded from play. Which, then they're gone, and now you can't get them back, and they didn't die, they just are gone, and so that's unfortunate. Pokemon Lab next up. Winston, your turn. Choose 2 of your fossils in play, and search for a card that evolves from them. I assume these are items with fossil in their name that are now Pokemon in play. And then, evolve them. This is very much like the, research lab. What is it? Pokemon Research Lab. Wait, this is called Pokemon Lab. Okay. Except this searches for the Pokemon and puts them directly on the bench, so it's slightly different, but obviously pretty similar here. And solid, fossils are kind of bad, so they need the support they can get. And we have Tyrantrum. We have this Tyrantrum line, so we'll take a look at the fossil first, which you play as basic 60 HP colorless Pokemon, and then you can always discard them, and they can't retreat. And then, one last thing. Can they be affected by special conditions? I mean, obviously that one can, because it doesn't say it can't. Normally they can't be affected by special conditions either, but these don't say that, so they can. It doesn't really matter that much. We have the ability Intimidating Aura here. As long as this Pokemon is in the active, there are 2 costlier points Pokemon. I guess all of them. It doesn't matter too much about their bench Pokemon, but whatever. It costs 1 colorless more. That's solid. I think this is kind of cool. I think fossils are just cool. Then we have Antique Sail Fossil, which has the ability Frozen Armor. As long as it's on your bench, prevent damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. Pretty alright, whatever. This one could actually be used. It could be used as this pseudo Snorlax Pokemon, especially if you attach Gravity Gemstone to it. And then we have Tyrant here. and Dragon Scale says if this Pokemon it would be one-shotted, its HP becomes 10 instead, one-shotted from damage. We see this ability before, and we see it again. Also for fighting metal, you can do 50 and discard an energy attached to your points active, which yet again is something we see. Then we have Tyrantrum EX here, which has 320 HP, a Dragon EX here. That's a stage 2. Jagged Crunch 150 for fighting metal colorless, and it does 10 more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. For each Pokemon that evolves from a fossil, with your ability to Tyrannical Rampage, this Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your points active. This is really interesting because this can be doing a bunch more. Theoretically, we can get an even bigger bench with Area 0 Underdepths, and I don't think there are any fossil Stellars or Terras. Yeah, I don't even think there are any EX fossil evolutions, but this is a, wait, is this one? Yeah, no, that one's also not a Terra, so you can be hitting each bench Pokemon. So you can be adding another 150 and then more for the damage counters on it. This is a really cool Pokemon, really powerful feeling as well. This is a really fun line. This one feels like very fair. It feels a little like weak, to be honest. Like the fossils have some issues. Obviously, we do have the support in the form of the supporter item in the stadium, but this feels like a Pokemon and like a group of cards Pokemon could print. Then we have, I guess we'll go to Amora here, which has 90 HP, and Snowfall. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck and attach any base cards you find there to your Pokemon, and we like them. We have an attack, no name here, but it does 10 more for each water energy attached to this Pokemon, so pretty solid, nothing too crazy. Actually, it's like kind of bad, but whatever, just the previous evolution. We have Aurora's EX, which has 210 HP, and it is a water type stage 2 EX, as I said, and Frozen Protector, all bench fossils, and Pokemon that evolve from them that have any water attached take 30 less from damage. This ability does not stack either, and that feels like okay. I feel like this line feels weaker though. Well, let's take a look at the attack. 160, 60 more damage if the defending Pokemon has a rule box. This feels kind of weak. Like, we took a look earlier at, like, there were some, like, fire Pokemon that just, I don't know, there's some, yeah, I think it might have been the Iron Moth. It just like did this. I feel like these fossils are a little weak, but I do like. But now we do have extra support with these other cards as well. But anyways, tell me what you think about these cards down below in the description. And I've said this before, but we're gonna play with these cards eventually as well. You can submit cards in my Discord server, which is linked up top on my channel. You click on my channel, it should be up there somewhere. You can find my Discord link, and you can post your cards, talk to other people about cards as well. And also, eventually play with these cards. We're going to do some voting stuff. There are some cards that are already essentially in the community set. Submitting them is to the community set as well as just for videos. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.